In today's video, we've got to collect two new pieces of evidence that suggest the Steam Machine and Steam Frame are very close to releasing. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about Steam hardware, and 80% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed, and I've noticed a lot of comments and DMs from people saying that they have notifications on, but they don't get them right when the video goes up, and it bums them out. I went and looked. 6% of the people who have notifications on have them on all. So like you're only getting personalized notifications. So either way, if you're a regular viewer, double check that, and it really does help me out, which is why I'm telling you on camera. But with the intro out of the way, let's get into the main topic of today's video, which is two new big pieces of evidence that we have to go over that the Steam Frame and Steam Machine are about to release. Jake Baldino, you just interrupted my video. I'm gonna mute that. So the first new piece of evidence is, once again, we're getting more shipments here in the United States of game consoles. If you're not up to date on this, which I've talked about it a lot, so I'll just cliff notes it, people were able to find the shipping manifests for all these ships that are coming from China and going over to LA or Washington, and they're going to Valve. People have been able to figure that out, and they were able to figure out that these are game consoles in shipping containers, and we've gotten a few shipments over the past month, and since we talked about it last, even more shipments have come in, and all the weight of the containers lines up with the previous shipment. So whatever is continuing to come in is the same stuff that was coming over the past month. So what we don't know is whether it's Steam Machines or Steam Frames. Like, I think Valve obviously knows because they're getting the shipments, but I've done some digging. I've talked to people behind the scenes. No one outside of Valve knows what these are. So like, unless they're just not telling me and they know and they're keeping it a secret, no one knows. So like, I'm just going to choose to believe that because they're called game consoles and I'm more excited for the Steam Machine, that they are Steam Machines. And I like that we're getting more shipments, because if you do the math based on the weight of the Steam Machine, the first shipment that we got last month equaled out to like 20,000 Steam Machines. And I know there's a lot of doomers out there who are like, this thing's DOA, it's a niche product, it's not going to sell well at all. They said the same thing about the Steam controller, and look how the launch went with that. Valve literally thought they had more than enough Steam controllers on stock, on shelves, sitting in their warehouses, ready to go. They were confident, they were cool, they were calm, they were collected, and then it sold out in like 2.5 seconds. And I know scalpers were thrown into the mix, but you still needed a Steam account to do that. So I'm just going to assume that the vast majority of people who bought one of those things on launch was an actual customer. So like, the demand was higher for that. I think it's going to be pretty dang high for the Steam Machine. So hopefully Valve is planning accordingly, and it seems like they are regardless, because they're getting more and more shipments every day. When it comes to the Steam Frame though, we talked about this on the Nerd Nest podcast last week, but like, the hardware itself looks amazing. I'm very excited for it. I'm excited to play flat games on it. Like, you know, indie stuff like this new game I'm playing, Tomb Water, which I either talked about in the last video or I will talk about in the next video. That's perfect for the Steam Frame, right? Like, it's a low weight indie game. I can pop the VR goggles on. I can connect my Steam controller. I can kick back in my chair and maybe make like a little movie theater around it or something. I haven't used VR in a little bit, like probably 6 or 7 months. So like, I don't really know what the state of it is, but I can see the use case application for it. But that being said, there aren't really a lot of new VR games. So it's a similar situation to what's going on with the 3DS right now, where everyone's like, the 3DS is the best console to play in 2026. And for me, I love the 3DS, but I played all those games when they came out. So while yes, it is nostalgic and cool to go back and play, I don't know, Dream Drop Distance, Kingdom Hearts, or something like that, a lot of people skipped this stuff when it was new, and now they're rediscovering it. I played all these games when they came out. Same case for VR. I had the Quest 1, Quest 2, Quest 3. I played Boneworks. I played Bone Labs. I played like any game you throw at me, I probably played. So like, I have no new VR game to look forward to. And also, a lot of the big heavy hitter VR games like Moss Chapters 1 and 2 are being ported to flat because they're just not selling well in VR. So hopefully the Steam Frame is the shot in the arm that the VR industry needs. But with that being said, the hardware looks amazing. I just kind of need to be sold on it game wise, so I have a reason to use it outside of like watching concerts on YouTube, which is something I do a lot, and also playing flat games. But even just that is good enough for me to pick one of these things up. So I'm just not sure what the demand is, right? Like, I see all your comments. There's a lot of people excited for it. I saw all the comments on the Nerd S podcast, because since we do the collab feature, I can see all the comments from people, which is really cool. So there's clearly a big market for it. And I looked through YouTube and there are, other YouTubers talking about the Steam frame and doing awesome views. So like it could be a Steam controller situation for me where I just don't know how popular it's going to be. And then I'll be blown away when it's absolutely massively a smash hit. So either way, I guess, whatever's in these shipping containers, it's going to be cool. I just hope that, they have shipping containers we missed, because if we know which ones are Steam Decks, the ones that ended in December of last year, and we know that these are either Steam machines or Steam frames, there's a mystery shipment out there, because clearly these things are supposed to launch close together. And I think people missed all the shipments for the controller, right? Like we only have two different weights, really, the Steam Deck one and this mystery one. So there's still pieces to fill in here, but the real meat and potatoes of this part of the video is to suggest that, they're getting shipments, which means they're getting closer to launch. But there's even more evidence pointing to that because of SteamOS updates. So I have firsthand experience with this thanks to my SteamOS PC. We talked about the UI refresh last week. They started with the settings, but now it's like the whole menu. So when you pull up the Steam menu, so like, on the Steam Deck or the Steam controller, on the left side or top, you have the Steam button. On the bottom or right side, you have the quick access menu. Both of those also got visual overhauls to match the new settings menu. I think it looks really good. It moves a little bit snappier, but they've also added in the new verification system. So when I went to launch Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, which I'll talk about it in that video with Tomb Water, but man, it's absolutely blowing me away. The game wasn't technically out because I paid for early access. It gave me a full screen warning on my Steam machine. Yeah, I'll call it my custom Steam machine. It said this game is verified for Steam Deck, but has no status yet for everything else. So like that would cover the Legion Go S, the Legion Go 2, ROG Xbox Ally X with SteamOS, and of course the regular Steam machine. So they've baked in that warning. If it hasn't been verified just yet, that's letting you know, hey, this game might work, it might not. It's totally up to you to test it out. And then hopefully when you boot the game down, like close it to move it over to your Steam Deck or something, you get that little survey that lets you say, hey, how did this game run? Should we mark it unknown, playable, or verified? I think that's a good use of the verified system, which is kind of a mess from top to bottom. And on top of that, they've baked in features to control the LED light bar for the Steam machine. So they're clearly getting that ready for launch, and also HDMI CEC support, which does work on my custom Steam machine. Now that little toggle, I'm pretty sure has been there for a minute. I think in the past couple of months they added it, but they're quickly adding in very important features for the Steam machine. So it seems like they're getting ready to launch it. And it wouldn't be totally unreasonable for Valve to show up at Summer Game Fest during the showcase and say, hey, this hardware is coming soon. Because if you go back a couple of years to the Game Awards, right after the Steam Deck came out, they kind of crashed the Game Awards through giving away Steam Decks. Like if you watch the stream live, there was a system you could use on Twitch or something like that to literally get a free Steam Deck for watching the Game Awards. So there is precedent for Valve kind of working with Jeff Keighley on multiple vectors, and like with the Game Awards, which is the same company that runs the Summer Game Fest showcase. So I wouldn't be shocked. I have no evidence to back this up. I'm just throwing it out there that, I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. The one thing that's perplexing me though is games, right? Like with the Steam frame, you can kind of assume that they'll probably have Half-Life Alyx as a standalone VR app ready to go at launch. Like back when the Steam frame was announced with all this stuff, they did have it up and running, and it wasn't running great or anything. It was using low settings, but like it was more of a technical showcase to say, hey, these translation layers we came up for ARM chips are working well. So I wouldn't be too shocked if Half-Life Alyx with maybe some new content or updates is the launch game for the Steam frame. I know when it comes to the Steam machine, everyone wants Half-Life 3. We've heard so many rumors from Tyler McVicker that they are working on a single player game that's called HLX internally. I'm not going to believe it till I see it, but again, I wouldn't be absolutely like sideswiped if they came out with Half-Life 3 alongside the Steam machine. But if you go back to the Steam Deck, they technically launched a game, Aperture Desk Job, which they've now updated to work well with the Steam controller. That's great. I'm talking about a full-on single-player game. So I guess, they could do an update for Aperture Desk Job for the Steam machine. That would be kind of disappointing. Some people are pointing to Deadlock, which doesn't really work well from what I'm hearing on a controller, even with all the extra inputs. So I just hope they have something ready to go. But with the Steam Deck, I would say the killer app launch title was definitely Elden Ring, because if you guys remember, that game did not run well when it came out. It had stuttering. Like, one of the best ways to play it was to download the PS4 version on a PS5 and run that. It was the most consistent 60 FPS experience you could get until Valve threw out Proton Experimental with all these fixes for Elden Ring. So from a pure frame time perspective, one of the best places to play it was the Steam Deck, and that was a really cool time. So maybe there will be a killer app that's not made by Valve, but it is interesting because, everything leaks out of Valve lately, and we haven't heard anything about games outside of what Tyler McVicker has reported on. And as far as I'm aware, he hasn't really said much as of late. So maybe he knows something. It's kind of like how a lot of reporters knew Destiny 2 was going to shut down before people who worked at Bungie did and just didn't say anything. Like, maybe that's going on. I don't know. Again, huge grain of salt territory for all of this, but we've got some solid evidence with the shipping containers and the SteamOS updates. So either way, I think it's going to be happening very soon. But yeah, that about covers it for the news in today's video. I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at. It's Friday here, which is great usually, but the only thing in life for real that gives me real anxiety is the lead up to going to the dentist. Like, I am meticulous about brushing my teeth twice a day. I use floss, like not the flossers, like actual floss twice a day. I haven't had a cavity in like over 5 years, but like going to the dentist stresses me out. I sit in the chair though. I'm totally fine. I don't know what's wrong with me. So I didn't sleep last night. And then I go to the gym this morning. I get in my car, which is a Challenger. That's my daily driver, a V6 Challenger, nothing special. I love it though. It's immediately sounding different to me. It's running fine. It's sounding different. I am obsessed with this the entire time at the gym. I leave the gym. It's still top of mind for me. I pop the OBD scanner in. It's like, yup, your third cylinder is majorly misfiring. So I look up the codes on Google. Turns out I need an ignition coil and a spark plug. So I go to AutoZone. I get those. Spend 10 minutes installing them. It was an easy fix and it fixed the problem. So two potentially annoying things happened today and they were just fine. The lesson there is don't get stressed out about the dentist because it's always fine as long as you brush your teeth and floss them regularly. And if you feel like your car is running differently, it's better to be proactive instead of reactive, because if I was reactive, I could have blown a cylinder in my engine and replacing the entire engine would be a pain in the ass. I would do it myself, but it would go wrong. I just know it. I've done a lot on my Jeep Wrangler because everyone knows those things, you're just replacing stuff all the time on them. But that Challenger, this is the first problem it's had. It's got like 50,000 miles on it. I had it in California. I drove it all the time. I drove it here to Michigan. I'm meticulous about changing the oil, so it's been running great. So seeing it not work right really bummed me out, but at least it was an easy fix. That's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know what games you're playing. Let me know what you think, whether it's a Steam machine or Steam frame in these shipments. Let me know if Summer Game Fest prediction in terms of when this stuff will be announced is spot on or totally off. I'm sure you will. But yeah, guys, as always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on. Turn on all notifications. Double check that. Please. I explained what shape on means. I told you how to spell my name. If you have notifications on, check that they're set to all, so then you'll get the notifications. That's my humble plea. Anyway, see you later.